Oh, real to real 360. KYs.
Peace, God.
Bring that beat in, kid.
Indeed.
Peace.
Yeah. What's going on, party people? Welcome to the Real 360 show. Let's get it in. We do the knowledge and wisdom so you can understand. Real 360 shows in full command. We changing the game for how it all was taught. From bondage to freedom to an independent thought. Yo, the show is here to bring about a change for real. To lighten everyone so we all know the deal. 360 degrees is a fact. We created the show to give our love back to our communities so we can know what's going on and give them the support from knowledge to born. So if you're ready to learn, then it's time to go. Sit back and relax and enjoy the show. Peace.
Peace, peace, peace. What's good, party people? What's going on, everybody? Peace to Allah's 5% nation of gods and nerds, and peace to all the human families on the planet Earth. I am DJ K Wise, aka the Black Superhero. Welcome you once again to a very special afternoon with the Real 360 show. Myself, along with my co-host, Josh and Mr. PhD, we got a dynamic show for you this afternoon where we're going to bring on one of the back in his super fly soul sisters. Beautiful blessings of words and wisdoms to you right now. So at this time, I'm going to introduce and bring on my co-host, Mr. Joshua Allah, Mr. PhD himself. Peace to the God.
Peace to the lost 5% nation of gods and nerds. Today, like KY said, is going to be a very impactful show. This sister right here is a very beautiful sister. She's very well versed, very intelligent, and she's inspirational, just to say the least. Her bio goes as a life coach, a mentor, a motivating speaker. And she's one of our closest and dearest friends to this show. And I've been expecting and been wanting her on our show for the last year or so. So at this moment in time, I want y'all to clap your hands, get everything together for Miss Angela Reynolds. Peace, Queen. How you doing today?
Peace and love. I'd say I got all warm and fuzzy. Thank you so much. That was such a humbling introduction. So thank you so much. I appreciate both of you. It was very, very, very moving. Thank you.
No. Well, like I said, it's been more than a pleasure for me, myself, and KYs to have you on the show. A lot of people on our show, they ask about life coaches and things of that nature, but a lot of people don't know what a life coach actually is. Mm-hmm. So knowing that, you are a life coach, can you elaborate on what being a life coach is and how it affects people and different aspects?
Absolutely. And I'm glad that you asked that question because a lot of times people use the word, oh, I'm a life coach, and I'm a life coach. People throw it out there so much that it actually loses its value. Life coaching is when you are at that place in your life where you're ready to move forward, meaning you've done the other work, you've done the healing work, you've done the therapy, you've gotten to a place where, okay, I've done all the healing, but now how do I change the trajectory of my life and how do I move forward? What's the next step? How do I have a more meaningful life? How do I make decisions that's going to bring me to a place of evolvement, that's going to put me on the right path? And so that's really what life coaching is. It's, think about it, if you were on a basketball team, the coach does what? It coaches you. It doesn't a coach doesn't necessarily make you a basketball player. He brings out already what's in you, what's already in you. And so life coaching is you sit down, you meet with your client, you listen without an agenda, and you hear, okay, where the disconnect may be. And it's helping the client do the work. It's helping the client connect the dots. It's helping the client say, okay, this is the next step that I need to take in order to propel myself forward. And it helps you kind of look at your environment, the people you're around, and say, you know what, this no longer serves me. Doing this no longer serves me. What kind of thoughts? What's my paradigm? My belief system? What am I currently doing that's blocking me from moving forward? So that's what life coaching is. And it is a big difference between needing a life coach and needing therapy. So thank you.
No problem, no problem. And thank you for clarifying that. Now, with you being a motivating speaker, how do that coincide with being a life coach?
That's nice. You hit me with the questions here. You hit me with the questions. And the thing about it is I'm grateful because I wasn't prepared for these kinds of questions. Okay, I see what you're doing. So,
I'm trying to enlighten the people. I told you.
Okay.
Trying to enlighten the people.
And so being a motivational speaker is one thing. And so there's a difference between being an inspirational speaker and being a motivational speaker. So inspiration is, how we hear things and you get inspired. You feel like, wow, I want to do that. I want to start eating healthy. I want to work out. I want to become a better person. Once that inspiration kind of dies down, we're not motivated to take action, right? And so being a life coach, once I help a person do the mapping, like what's the first step I should take? So once you actually do the mapping with the coaching, it's like, okay, so the first step is this, eliminate that, move progressively forward in this area. Now you're giving the person the motivation you're giving the person inspiration to do it. And then once they start to make those small steps, motivation happens after you see results. Motivation does not happen when you are standing still. As long as you're standing still, that's inspiration because it's still in an internal space, right? So it's like if you're going to the gym and you start to lose that weight, you're motivated to keep going.
Right.
So with life coaching, I help people do the work. I say, okay, well, you're going to do the work. That's not my job. My job is to help you map it out, but now you have to do it. So as a life coach, I can use certain words and different techniques to help a person propel forward. Now they not only are inspired to move forward, they're taking the small steps necessary, and then that's what breeds the motivation.
Okay. What got you into becoming a inspirational speaker?
I think I came to the planet with it.
Okay.
Yeah, you know how some people just have a voice. You know how some people can sing, and just like, oh my God, like they could sing at a young, without even having formal training. They can just open their mouth and like heaven comes out, and it's like, wow. So I think for me, as a child, I was always curious. I was always, and not just curious about what other people do. I was curious about what makes me do the things that I do from an internal perspective. I remember one time I was looking at a young lady who went through a lot of trial and tribulations, and she was probably 2 years older than me. And I was a teenager, but she had turned to drugs and she was having a really hard life. And I remember I watched her walk down the street one day, and I may have been 16 years old. And I'm looking at her and I thought to myself, wow, I wonder what has to happen in your mind in order for you to just give up. And so I think even at that young age, I was always curious about what makes us make these types of decisions. And then it was, well, how do I map my own life so that I don't make those types of decisions, although we come from the same environment. And so I think for me, it was just inherent in by virtue of who I am, and then just exposing myself to different writings and works. And I think it just came natural for me. Yeah, I just feel like it's my gift, so to speak.
That's beautiful. That is beautiful.
Well, thank you.
How much of people's environment play out when it comes to you having to guide them in life coaching?
I want to say this question back because I want to make sure I understand you. How much does the environment
impacts them?
I beg pardon?
Impacts them to needing a life coach. Sometimes growing up in certain environments, people are so used to dysfunction and they don't understand the direction that they want to go in, or they need to go in, or they even pushing themselves in. So how much of that, is impacted and basically a life coach help them guide themselves out the way?
Right. And this is where it's a little deeper than that, in that depending on the nature of the environment, it would depend on whether or not that person needs therapy or whether or not that person needs coaching. And so as a life coach, if I'm speaking to you and I give you, we talk about solutions, and you had these aha moments. But once you have that aha moment, if you go back to, yeah, but what about this and what about that and what about this? That means that on a psychological level, that person is not ready to move forward. If they're not ready to release or relieve themselves from that environment, they're not ready for life coaching. That is a clear indication that that person would need therapy. Now, if we're in a space where we're in an environment and this person has done the work and they've done the healing, and they say, you know what, I'm in a place where I'm ready to move forward. If I need to move, I can move. If I need to leave a toxic relationship, I can leave this toxic relationship or work, whatever the environment is. If that person is ready to take those necessary steps, then that's when you say this person may need a life coach. It's being able to eliminate your opposing interest. So an opposing interest is, if I know I want to lose, but in my environment, there's snacks and there's soda and there's things that's going to block me from what my interest is, that thing now becomes an opposing interest. If I know I want to get up and exercise and I like to sit on the couch, then the couch becomes my opposing interest. So it's having the wherewithal to say, okay, these are my opposing interests, and this is what's actually stopping me from becoming the person that I want to become. And that's where the environment plays a huge part in life coaching.
Okay.
Does that make sense the way I explained it? I don't know.
Yeah, definitely.
You're asking me questions that I really haven't. Because I haven't really had to explain it this way. So,
it's just want to trying to pick your brain. Especially in a layman's term, for a lot of people who may not understand what a motivating speaker is, an inspirational speaker is, a life coach is, or even know the difference in the three, because there is a difference. And with you being all three, you're able to break down what part and each one plays in getting mental and social help for one, for themselves. You have spoken at about 20 different places. How do people get in touch with you for you to speak, or in those different environments like Mount Sinai, and you go from Mount Sinai Hospital to churches? Like how do you be able to bring that type of energy into different places as well as you do?
Oh man. So I think Mount Sinai came as a fluke, so to speak. The neurology department was the first department that kind of allowed me to speak and invited patients to come and hear me speak. So I was speaking about just in general, in passing, I was speaking about the brain and the heart. It's called, brain heart math. And so there's like brain coherence and there's heart coherence. And so it was a matter of, hey, I think my, neurology patients could benefit from hearing you. And then how it came from me speaking at churches was, someone else overheard me speaking and was like, wow, you're talking about spiritual development and you're making biblical references. I'd like you to come speak to my church. I haven't really advertised or done anything like that. It has really just been a blessing. And I think part of me has been a little reserved in how I publicize myself, because I didn't know if I was really ready for the opening that I could get. I don't know if I'm ready for all of that yet, because I got so much going on, but I think I'm slowly but surely. So at that point, I think that's when I would start posting and putting things up and launching my website.
Okay. I know for me personally, we've had conversations on different things, and it's have helped me on different levels or wherever I was going through at that point in time. And I think that that's a blessing that we have that type of energy, whereas we can connect with one another and have people in our cipher, whereas if we need to talk or we need to, figure some things out or just help, saying, things to be figured out. I know at this moment, Kay was saying he had a question for you because he says I'm monopolizing the whole interview. So I'm just going to go ahead and let him do his thing now. You know what I mean?
Go ahead, Kay. But
There
you
you
know
go.
how to
There
do
you
the
go.
voice.
Please. All right. One of the things that I wanted to ask now, with you being life coach, motivational speaker, inspirational speaker, it covers so much with you because of what you do and who you are personally, as we know from years going on as a dynamic person. My question is this: within a lot of the ties of what you do you offer, or I should say, what is your age range, as far as being the life coach, inspirational speaker, motivational speaker? Do you also give children motivational speeches for, some children that may have certain disabilities, or those who be feeling like, when children feel they're being bullied and abused in certain ways at school or, within peers? Do you also offer that type of counseling and motivational, inspirational talks for the children so that parents can be like, okay, let's see if we can talk with Queen Angela and see, we do sort of like the big brother, big sister programs. Do you do that within the children aspect as well?
I don't. And I want to say that I respect the youth so much that I wouldn't even try. And what I mean by that is that there's a certain skill that goes into being able to connect to youth. There's a different level of understanding from a child's perspective that goes into when you're dealing with teenage youth. I might be able to do it, but I don't know if I could use the language that that's needed for me to connect with them the way that I can connect with people. I can connect with people in their 20s. I can do 20s and 30s, but teenagers, I think they would require a youth coach more than they would just a person from my standard of learning. I think I would do youth a huge disservice. In the spirit of honesty, I do. It's like there's a difference in a pediatric doctor and having a doctor. And the best example that I can give you was my daughter's aunt was married to a doctor, and he's a regular doctor. And so they had children, and he was like, the baby was teething. And so he goes, well, just give the baby some Ambisol. And the pediatrician said, you can't give children Ambisol because if they're choking, they won't feel that they're choking. So just because you understand what I'm saying? Just because you can heal the older doesn't mean that you have the expertise to deal with the younger. And you might give them information that their young minds may not be able to process. They may not know what to do with that information. And so I don't know how to do that as a skill. I don't know how to do that.
Okay. Well, do you think that, being that with the youth, do you have some people who might be willing to work with you in that, for that capacity, to bring about a more community effort, like somebody you're working with that can do team teachings as far as that goes?
So
you have people
I know of an organization called Momentum Education, and for people who are listening, there's something that I did years ago. It's called Momentum Education. And if you go on Momentum Education NYC, you will see it. So they have an amazing program. It's an amazing program for self-development, personal development, and just when you're really ready to move forward. They have Momentum Teens or Momentum Youth. It's free. And if their teen program is anything like their adult program, you're going to have some be ye transformed by the renewing of your mind, it's going to be super powerful.
Mm-hmm.
When I tell you it's super powerful, so first responders can go for free, teachers can go for free. But for the youth, I would tell you anyone that has a child, that has a teenager, I think it may go from 13 to 18 or 19. I would say definitely, definitely, definitely. And it's not just for troubled youth. If you have the truth is we live in a world today where so many things going on and you're trying to establish your own identity and find your own voice. I would say for any youth, I would tell them to do momentum education. And this isn't necessarily a plug, but if you ask me, I would say momentum education, hands down.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
Now, how much is spirituality and life coaching and motivation and motivating speaker go hand in hand?
Oh, it's all in one. It's all in one. It should be. I think that so for me, because I'm an energy person, because I'm a vibe person, it usually leads me. So for me, it started off intuitive. Like I was very intuitive as a child, and I was able to pick up on things that, energetically speaking, that other people would have ignored or just passed by. And so once I started to truly connect with myself spiritually, and then I started reading things about psychology, the psychic, the mind, and human behavior. And I realized, oh my God, like this stuff is so super powerful. So have you ever heard of, Psych 101? What is it? Maslow's hierarchy of needs and Erik Erikson's stages of development.
Right.
There's a psychological component in each stage. If you look at the chakra system and you read what happens at the root chakra, psychologically and spiritually speaking, it's the same. Erik Erikson's stages of development matches the chakra system. So when I tell you it's hand in hand, it is hand in hand. Like it's so super powerful. So yeah, it is. You said how much of it? All of it.
All of it.
All of it.
So do meditation and all the above goes with some of your life coaching methods, or I don't want you to just put your jewels out there and your techniques.
No,
but
okay.
Is meditation or anything like that part of your life coaching?
No. Meditation is, well, not directly. Indirectly, yes. Meditation is for me. Meditation is, so when I go inward, it's for me to release. It's for me to release, and it's for me to accept guidance. It's for me to accept whatever truth needs to be revealed to me. It's where I go in and I release myself or relieve myself from my earthly things, problems, issues, or questions. And it's just, I leave myself open. But it's really my relationship with the universe, is my relationship with the God within me. And I think holistically speaking, it may make me a better life coach. But when I do it, it is, and I say this lovingly, it is selfishly just for me.
Okay. Because the next question I was going to ask is, knowing that we as people are receivers of energy.
We are.
So when someone is like, I'm not saying dumping their negative energy, or they're constantly talking about something that's on the negative side, how do you either deflect it or detox that energy from yourself, you know what I'm saying, while and still performing at the highest point?
Oh man, and that's such a great question. So I think for me, energetically, I can, I just put a shield around myself. And I tell myself I'm here as a spectator. I'm not a participant. So the same way you could show up at a game and you could just sit and watch, or you can be all involved, or you can go out there on the court. So sometimes I'm just a spectator, and I will take notes and I'll listen and I will respond where I think that person is leaving an opening for me to respond. I also tell myself that when I'm in a situation, and there's two different dynamics, and I'll go to both. One I'll say personally, and then I'll say professionally. So professionally speaking, I don't look at it as though it is toxic. I don't look at it as though it is negativity. I look at it as though it is an imbalance. And if it is an imbalance, then there's no need for me to look at it as though it's something that's going to drain me. I say, how can we put this in perspective? How can I give this person an alternate perspective? And once they get it, the trajectory changes, and you can see they kind of like, oh, and you can feel this even exchange, and it starts to balance itself out. If personally speaking, if I have people in my life and they're constantly talking negative, and they're constantly saying things that doesn't resonate with me, then that's when I will say lovingly, this conversation doesn't really resonate well with me, and I don't want to hear it. Like, I'm very, very honest. I will tell you, it doesn't work for me. If you need to vent, that's one thing. But if this is going to be your normal, you got to pick somebody else. Like, I'm not a good candidate. But I'm honest, and I say it. Like, I will tell you, I'm not a good candidate for this conversation. You got to pick somebody else.
Well, also, as you know, we're talking about life coaching and motivation. How much is that impactful when you build with your sisters? When you speak with your sisters, or you uplifting your sisters, or you empowering your sisters, how much is that, as a part of that?
Listen, let me tell you, sisterhood. First, I got to give I have chills right now because I'm thinking about my tribe. I just have this tribe of beautiful Black women in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. When I tell you they are in 60s, oh my goodness. When I tell you that they are just amazing and powerful, it's more of an acceptance more than it is anything else. And accepting people for exactly who they are and where they are on their journey keeps us connected. It kind of keeps the sisterhood where it needs to be. We are accountable for one another. We hold each other. And when I say hold, I'm saying we got our hands on you. Like, I got you, sis. We make room. We make space. I make space for you to mess up. I make space for you to not get it right. I make space for you to break down. And we're there. No judgments, no nothing. And I think the more self-aware you become, and when I say self-aware, I mean in a true sense of the word, when you are self-aware, you are aware of the impact and influence you have on others. A lot of times we confuse self-aware with I know what I like, I know what I want, I know what I don't like. No, that's called self-identity. Self-awareness means I understand how I show up. I understand the impact that I have on you. And so I have a group of women who are self-aware, and we're like, hey, I don't know if I said this, if it rubbed you the wrong way, but if it did, I apologize. Like, we're honest, we're open, so it just keeps us connected. Like, sisterhood is amazing. And I think as women, especially as Black women, we have to make space for us to be ourselves, for us to hurt. And the truth of the matter is, if you are a Black woman in America, you have probably experienced some kind of trauma, and that's going to show up in your friendships too. So we got to make space for it.
Right. And with that, making space for the sisterhood is empowering to your sister and other individuals who come amongst you, right? And being that we look at, some people confuse empowering someone with trying to domineer or dominate them. Can you explain to our audience how that's not the case when it comes to sisterly love?
So let me give this question back to you so that I understand, so that I'm clear on what you're asking me. You want me to distinguish the difference between me empowering you versus me trying to control you.
Right.
Okay. So empowerment is me showing you what's great about you, not what's great about what I think about you. It's already existing within you. You know, hey, you are an amazing cook. I think every time you make something, you pour so much love into it. And if you want to start that business, I say, go ahead. As opposed to me saying, look, listen, this is what you said you want to do, so go on and do it. Why are you making excuses for it? You keep making excuses. Those are not empowering words. It's me telling you, well, I think that you should go ahead and do this, and I think you should go ahead and do that. That would be me trying to hold you accountable to what I think you should do. When I want to empower you, then I will use your language, and I will say, hey, love, listen, you've been talking about this for a long time. And every time you talk about it, your eyes light up, and I see how much you want it, and then me being a life coach, I would say, do you know what part of you is holding you back? I know there's a part of you that really wants this, but what part of you is afraid of it? And let's work on that part and let's heal it. And then they feel empowered and they give a voice to the part of them that is holding them back. And then we work through it from there.
This conversation right here is empowering me as a man, because a lot of times we don't think about, we normally say, well, this is just talking about sisters, but we're talking about individual as a whole. You know what I'm saying? As a person, where we can grow individually. So that gives us an opportunity to look into our feminine side and understand what is going on over here, so we can have a better understanding of what life is for us as individuals. So it's definitely impactful for me today. And I know that a lot of people don't know you're really into entrepreneurial, you're an entrepreneur, you're a business owner, you honestly step out on the limb and take risks with certain things. And I know, knowing you, that they're thought out processes, but maybe to other people, they might seem like you take a risk or you take a chance. Like, people don't know that you're an owner in, Second Son, Juice Bar and Grill in Uniondale, and then Baldwin and things of that nature. And, can you explain like some of that process of you going into becoming your own, owning your own business?
Listen.
And as a Black woman, how did that, what was the obstacles? Because I know it was a lot of obstacles, sometimes when Black women go into ownership, especially when you're talking about juice bars and things like that.
Well, one, I want to say I don't own those anymore. They are closed. So that's former. Right. I don't want nobody going to the store. They be like, Angie opened her spot back up. So I always say it's coming. But so for my first store, the one in Uniondale, it's actually really interesting. I used to be, I was at work. I was working at Southampton Hospital. I was a director at Southampton Hospital. And I never forget, I was sitting at the table, and I was looking around, maybe been about 20 plus people in there. I was the only Black person. And I was like, wow, like, does this mean I made it? Like, I heard the Jeffersons theme song in my head. Well, we moving on up. And I was like, I'm in the Hamptons, right? And I was like, but wow, like, why are they getting the best of me? And why am I not giving the best of me to myself, right? And so I had never made a juice in my life, but I knew I was a healer. I had never made a smoothie in my life, but I knew I had the ability to heal others. And so I was like, I'm gonna open a tea spot. So I was going to do all herbal teas. And then I said, maybe I'll just do a juice bar. And when I tell you, the way it happened was kind of fascinating. I didn't know where I was going to get the money from. I didn't have a location. So, and the universe is so powerful. I didn't have money. I didn't have a location. But what I had was an idea. And what I had was a dream. And I said, you know what? God, it doesn't matter to God what you don't have, because God supplies. This is a universe of provision. So work with what you do have. I said, well, what I do have is my mind, and what I do have is vision. So I started writing it down. And I said, I don't care if I write for 5 minutes a day. The universe don't know the difference between 5 minutes or 5 hours. The universe recognizes intent. It recognizes the focus that you put on a thing. And if I only give 5 minutes of devotion to a thing, that's what the universe recognizes. So I was like, I don't care if it's 5 minutes a day. So I would put in my journal, this is what the menus go. first time I said, let me come up with a name. So I was just writing down names. And I was trying to think of a good name. And Second Son came to mind. And I was like, oh, wow. Then 5 minutes writing on a design. And I was like, oh, I guess I should do a menu. And I just kept writing. And the next thing you know, money started finding its way to me. And I mean, seriously, I'm not talking about, wishy-washy money. I'm talking about, money started finding its way to me. And somebody was like, oh, well, what do you want to do? And it was like, oh, here's some money. And I was like, oh, man. Then some serious money that was due to me came. And I was like, oh, my gosh. Next thing you know, the location came. So I think for me, the entrepreneur was already in me. Mm-hmm. I needed to allow it to develop outside of me. And that's where the juice bar came in. And that's where the business started to grow. And it was busy in there. Like anyone who knows Second Son, the one that was in Uniondale, I was feeding the Jets every single day. That store was crowded. And the truth is my business grew too big for me. I couldn't even handle it. So sometimes you get exactly what you asked for and you're not prepared for it, and it's like, But I would say for anyone who wants to do it, if it's in you, like I said, universe don't know the difference between 5 minutes and 5 hours. It recognizes your devotion and your focus to a thing and your commitment to it. And if you were committed to 5 minutes a day, every day, believe it or not, you start to develop a rhythm and you put yourself in vibrational alignment with the thing you say you want. Did I answer your question? Because I feel like
yes, you did. Yes,
I feel like I went off on a little tangent there.
I know K sitting back there cheesing.
No, I was pulling this out because when you was talking to, I was trying to hand it to you like this, so you can wipe the tears. You was talking about your feminine side. I was like, well, here you go,
and see,
but listen, he meant that soft hard energy. The yin and yang. I know what you mean.
Thank you. But see,
yin and yang.
But listen, this is the part. This is the part where all things come true, because having you on our show, we knew the dynamics were going to be incredible. We knew that the combination of the three of us is going to connect like none other, because with our show, it's not just straight hard talk or nothing like this. It's a relaxing environment for everybody to be comfortable. That's why we say when you come onto our show, you at home. We want you to feel at home. We want you to give all things. Just be who you are. If there's comedy, if there's humor, if there's love, sincerity, we're covering all 31 flavors plus. So this is why we always express. And for what you are doing right now, touching our people out there, as well as inspiring us with your words, we thank you. And I'm getting a lot of comments and reviews as we speak. And that's why, like I said, when y'all see me go in and out, there's things that I'm doing behind the scenes. And again, flowers are always due to when it's here. I'd rather give you your flowers while you're living than to want to give you your flowers where you can't smell them and can't adore them and appreciate, because we appreciate you 100%. And one of the other questions, going back into the motivational aspect, do you find it easier a one-on-one or within groups? What do you prefer when you do your, or does it doesn't really matter? But I'm just saying, what is your preference? Is it group therapy that you like doing sometimes, or is it the one-on-one?
That's a great question. And I paused because I want to respect your question and give it an authentic answer. I prefer group, and let me tell you why. So because I am an energy person, a lot of times when I am doing one-on-one, sometimes people don't want me to see what lies beneath. And you may be complaining about your husband leaves the toilet seat up. And you're complaining about all of these things. Oh, he leaves his socks on the floor and blah, 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 blah. And so sometimes energetically, I may see that what's really happening is something that is a dark side that may have stemmed from your childhood, where you didn't feel acknowledged, or you didn't feel loved, or, you know, maybe there was some form of abuse. And by this man doing these things, it triggers something else. And a lot of times people are not ready to look at that part. They want to focus on the surface. You know, a lot of times people are arguing, and I'm like, really arguing because somebody didn't take out the trash? Like, that's a real argument? What's the real feeling behind it? And so the real feeling may be, they may not feel appreciated. They may not feel like you're acknowledging what's really going on with them. And a lot of times people are not ready to communicate that. And so what I found is, when I first started coaching, I would go right to, hey, and they would get extremely emotional, and it puts people in a very vulnerable space. But if they haven't truly done the healing work, they're not ready for that revelation. They would rather argue about the toilet seat being left up, or my wife is not making a meal for me when I come home, as opposed to dealing with what's really triggering them. So when I speak in a group and I'm feeling energy and I start to talk about these things, you don't seem like the target. When it's one-on-one, you know it's about you. But if it's in a group, you get to kind of silently work your way through it and listen without being on the defense. And I find that, interestingly enough, sometimes when I'm in a group, people will say, hey, and, you know, they ask a general question where they don't act like it's about them. So wait a minute, what you're saying is, and I'll say, well, let's talk about it. Let's explore. And when I do these talks publicly, I make it very safe for people and say, listen, if I'm digging too deep, I need you to say, I need you to stop. No questions asked. And I've had people actually say, I need you to stop. And I say, we can talk about it later, because I know we're starting to peel back some layers. But it's better in a group for me. Right. And I think it, like I said, I think it takes the pressure off of other people.
Okay. Are you able for travel? Are you available for like travel, maybe outside of your area? If people wanted to contact you, willing to travel outside and all that stuff like that?
Yeah, I have plans to go to Maryland. I have plans. I got three of my BFs in Maryland. So, you know, we making plans. We making plans. Truth be told, I would love to get to a space where I do a retreat and we just go 7 days on an island somewhere, and we really mind, body, and soul retreat. Because I think that's going to be powerful. There's a lot of pre-work that goes into it. I think, especially with empowerment, which was really the topic, is sometimes we don't even know the stages, the levels of empowerment, right? And so, like, what steps do we take to empower ourselves? Like, where does that even begin? And so that's where that pre-work comes in, and that's where that honesty with yourself comes in, and understanding just the basic needs. Like basic needs and psychological needs and self-fulfillment needs, which is like Maslow's hierarchy of needs. You know, the first level is psychological needs, right? We all know we need food, water, you know, clothing and shelter. We know we need that, right? And then there's safety, and then there's belongingness and love, and then there's esteem, and then there's self-actualization. So you have this pyramid. Some of us never make it past psychological needs, depending on where you live. Some of us we are fighting for food, water, food, clothing, and shelter, right? So we never get a chance to go to the next level, which is safety and security. So if you think about the community, you think about where we are, if these are the stages of development that we go through in order to live healthy lives, some of us never make it to level 2, which is safety and security. So then we skip that and we go to, well, we want to be in love, because nature still takes place, right? So the next level is belongingness and love needs. And that's where we develop these intimate relationships and friends. But now you're in this relationship And because you don't feel safe and secure, which was level 2, now you don't trust in your relationship. You don't feel safe in your relationship because you never got a chance to deal with safety. Or we get our heart broken so much, we say, that's it. I don't even want to love anymore. So we skip over level 2, safety and security. We skip over level 3, which is belongingness and love. So you know what? I'm just going to go to 4. And 4 is, that's the prestige. That's the accomplishment. I'm going to get a good job. I'm going to go to college. I'm going to build myself. But we still don't feel safe, and we still don't love. And then we say, now I'm going to pray and I'm going to meditate and I want to go to self. I want to go into actualization where I'm experiencing my fullest potential and I'm creative. But your pyramid is so unstable because you've skipped over the 2 vital things, which is safety and security and love. And until we do that, we will never have a full sense of empowerment. And it's literally taking it level by level by level. And the amazing part, sometimes I always tell my son is, there are no shortcuts in life. You think you can circumvent level 2 and level 3 and go to 4. So now you got a job and you're making all this money, but you still want to have a healthy relationship. You can't have it because you don't trust and you don't feel safe. So you say, well, I'm just going to make more money. It never works that way. Level 2 prepares you for level 3. Level 3 prepares you for level 4. Level 4 prepares you for level 5. And until we can actually go through those stages and really do the work, it's going to be tough. You'd be surprised how you show up. And I always tell people, you know, someone is saying, I said, yeah, but I'm on the receiving end of you. I know how you see yourself, but I'm experiencing you. And I may not be experiencing you in the way that you intend. And so that self-reflection and self-awareness is really big. I feel like I just went off on a little tangent. I'm sorry.
No, was enjoying it.
Good. Good.
Also, too, I want our audience to understand, like, you see the natural energy flowing between the 3 of us is because this is not our first rodeo together. You know,
that's right.
We've been on other platforms together where we spoke and we've had many dialogues on camera and off camera, behind scenes, whatever the case may be. And this is a natural occurrence when all 3 of us are together, because at one point we was on another platform and I think we were the face of that platform. And we was able to help one another guide each other to where we are today. That platform helped myself and KY's build this platform, and to watch the growth in Angela and the things that she's doing, you know what I'm saying, also helps us build this platform, because we look at what she does with individuals, her selflessness, where she doesn't take herself and be like, I'm not going to deal with this, or whatever the case may be. She's always open. So when we have conversations, we have to always have an open ear. So these are the things that we have received in our interaction with you.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you.
Look at it.
You know what it is? It's like
he's a funny dude.
It's like, it's amazing. It's just a humbling experience when you hear how the impact that you have on people.
Right.
And so, or how people are experiencing you. And so it's like, it shouldn't bring out the machismo in people. I think it should be more humiliating. I mean, I think you should experience more humility than anything else. I'm like, oh, thank you.
And you're welcome. You're more than welcome. I think the biggest jewel to being a life coach, from what I receive, and motivating speaker and inspirational speaker, is to be a servant and a vehicle for individuals to get to their next level. And I think that's a beautiful situation, that you take your time to do this with people. You know, we always say that we are born with a determined idea to make certain things happen, or we are destined to make things happen. That's why in the beginning I asked was like, what put you on that path to want to be a life coach and motivating speaker?
Mm-hmm.
And your very first comment was, when I came on this earth, I was born with it.
Yeah.
You know, and only question is, when did you realize you had that gift?
And you know, I think that's, again, a good question, because I always knew I was different. I just didn't know my difference was a gift.
Mm-hmm.
And so I don't think I embraced it as a gift
Mm-hmm.
until probably my 50s. So I went my entire life either being called weird, either being called she's different, or, you know, she, you know, like, oh, she's corny, or she always trying to, you know, I had one friend say to, you know, other friends, oh, she always trying to change herself. She ain't never, you know, every time I turn around, she trying to change herself. And I'm like, well, what's wrong with that? So I think, you know, I mean, I was talking about neuroplasticity very young, like probably definitely in my 20s, maybe 26 years old. I started talking about neuroplasticity, like the ability to rewire your brain. And so today you hear, you know, more famous people talking about, hey, you know, neurons that fire together wire together, and, you know, we have epigenetics and all these different things. But for me, this is stuff I knew when I was in my 20s. So I was looked at like I didn't know what I was talking about. She's weird. She always talking about energy, and she's always talking about the universe, and she's always talking about, you know, how you can manifest things. And for me, again, it was stuff I came to the planet with. So I just felt very, very different. It left me with broken friendships. It left me in broken relationships. It left me at a place where people felt like, where I felt I wasn't good enough because I didn't know how to act like everybody else. I mean, I don't smoke, I don't drink, I don't really hang out. So it's like, I always felt like a misfit. Now we have this conscious community, and so people are so excited. I'm like, yeah, whatever. So it's like, yeah, good for you. But it's like, but I went so many years and decades feeling like I wasn't good enough because I didn't know how to fit in. Today, and me completely accepting the fullness that God has blessed me with, now I realize it's a gift. But it took me a long time to get to that space. Go ahead, brother.
I get that. They say that imitation is the highest form of flattery, they say. I can say that my motivation and inspiration of speaking peers and up to children on down came from my father. You know, as a child growing up in a household, my father was a Baptist minister, the late Reverend Dr. Irvin Wilson. I gotta, you know, give all praises. He was such a dynamic and motivational speaker and counselor. All that in his area of expertise is being a minister, that I was in awe of that. And I used to watch how all these people would gather and come to see my father on Sundays or call him throughout the week. He'd be on the phone counseling people. And I'm like, how does this man sleep if he's doing all this? What drives him to be this way? What was instilling him? So I used to sit and ask questions sometimes to him, like, well, how you doing all this? And he just said, you know, he would say, it's from the higher power. It was given to him. It was his. He's being a humble servant. He must do the duties of his Lord and Master. I said, okay. So I kind of like was like, wow, that's nice. So when I started finding that some of those qualities of which he instilled in me, and maybe throughout my brothers and sisters, but speaking upon myself, I kind of took that to heart. And so I always try to be a help, inspiration, motivation, a good example to some people, even when at the better times I was being bad within my own self of a negative reflection. But still in all, you still find the positive within your negative aspect in order to grow. If it wasn't for the mistakes and mishaps that we have, we would never know how to grow and understand these aspects and then expand ourselves to say, okay, if we see it coming again in a different light and aspect, we know how to handle it better. And we know how to explain it to somebody else if they ask that to us. So again, the motivation and inspiration comes from all different aspects in everybody's globe, because even myself at this point in time, me and Josh Jamel, when we talk, regardless how younger he is, he has a lot of inspiration that he has instilled within me. And I give him that. I always tell him that, that's my brother. That's my brother. And I watch him as people speak and talk about him. And even when he's not around, his name is well known, but I should say well respected. And that's the great thing. When your name is being spoken of and other people don't know who's listening around it, but your name is being given respect. See, I said that's a good brother right there, because I know him. And to hear other people who know of him and speak of him highly, I got to give him props, because this show is it's all about unity. This show is about giving everybody a platform to speak and be heard, as long as it's coming in with, if you got right and exact contents, because we're not about destroying positivity. We're here to build our community and give love back to our people. We want our people to know that this is that show you can come to. We're not just one type of show. We're not stagnated. We we cover all areas. That's why we call the show Real to Real 360. And so with that being said, again, Angela, we love you. I love you. Thank you again. And you always got a stage and platform here to give. And we want you to come back, but bring some of your people with you too. So we'll have more of a dynamic range and the things that needs to be done and talked about.
You want to bring my girls? You want to bring my tribe?
Bring the tribe.
Yeah.
You want my tribe?
Yeah, bring the tribe. Bring the tribe.
Bring the tribe.
Yeah.
But like Kay was saying, we got nothing but love for you here on Real 360. We were excited to have you on. We've been talking about this for like the last couple of weeks, and wanted to make sure that we presented you in the best light at all times. And that is something that myself and Kay hope that we've done today, that we have given you your flowers. We have acknowledged all of you and all of your greatness in the process. And I want to say thanks, Kay, man. What you said was humbling, because like Angela, I always felt like I didn't belong in a lot of circles. People acknowledge me, and I just didn't never understand why or what place or what role I played in a lot of people's lives, because I was still running in my own mind, needing to be healed from mentally and emotionally from certain things that I've been through. So, of course, I love you too, bro. And I know we coming to the end of the show, and I know it seemed like it's a love fest over here today at Real to Real 360, but this weekend has been definitely inspirational, motivational, nation building, empowering, to our sisters. And today we had the pleasure to bring a true queen on who motivates individuals, who's inspiring to a lot of individuals. And we want to thank you, Angela, for coming on and blessing us with your presence and with your knowledge. So thank you so much from myself, and nothing but love. Nothing but love.
I thank both of you for having me and just making space for me to offer a different perspective and be different and welcoming me. And yes, of course, we go back, and I love you both inside out. You each have your own characters, your own gentleness, and your own strengths. I recognize it in both of you. And I thank both of you for just making that space, not just for me, but for everyone else who has a voice that you believe is going to help heal our community. So thank you.
Hey, Kay, it's about that time, bro. But Stay back. You know how we do the after show, after party on the back end. So hold back for me. All right.
Yeah.
Okay, take us up out of here, bro. Love you, man.
Absolutely. Love you too. Peace and blessings, everybody. Once again, we like to thank you for coming and being a part of the Real 360 show. We're about to get up out of here and do good things. And if you are wanting to come show any comments or questions or concerns you may have, please hit us up at realreal360.com or realreal360 at gmail.com. Please get in touch with us. We would love to have you on our show. We would love to hear your views. And also, please subscribe. Tell a friend to tell a friend to bring in, and we will be successful, because without you, this wouldn't be possible. All right. And with that, all I got to do is say love, peace, and happiness to all the human family on earth, to the nation of Allah, 5% gods and earth. Peace.
Yo, ladies and gentlemen, we're starting to come to the end of the show.